You're listening to Online Pet Health Podcasts with Dr. Megan Kelly. Continuing education for veterinarian rehabilitation therapists. Learn more at onlinepethealth.com.
Hey Vet Rehabbers, if this is the first time you're listening to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast, a huge welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Please click the subscribe button so you get notified every Wednesday when I release my next episode. To my long-time listeners, thank you guys for your continued support. I appreciate each and every one of you. Today's topic has come up a few times in our Facebook groups, and I had this great conversation with Tanya Grantham. She's from Animal Health and Hydro. She's a vet rehabber based here in South Africa. She's got 3 practices in and around Johannesburg. And so I thought she was the perfect person to speak to give some advice on how to schedule our appointments optimally. She shares with us ideas and solutions how we can handle those no-shows, as well as how to prevent people from all booking in that busy time from 4 to 7 p.m. in the evening. If you've got your own practice, we have a great download. It's called 12 Free Ways to Market Your Vet Rehab Practice. Online Pet Health members, you can log into the members portal and go to the Business Basics area. If you're not a member, you can download this from our free area. You can go to onlinepethealth.com/12 free ways to get your copy now. Before we join Tanya and chat about the tips to scheduling appointments, a quick word from our sponsors. Maximize your dog's life and reduce their pain with wiggleless back braces. Just because your dog is aging does not mean your dog has to live in pain. A back brace can provide mild support and help stabilize your dog's spine by decreasing excessive motion. This stabilization can lead to decreased inflammation and irritation to the spinal nerves. All good news to your dog. You can learn more at wiggleless.com. I've also heard of vet rehabbers using these wiggleless back braces and getting really good results for cases that have degenerative myelopathy. Vet rehabbers, please go and check out our sponsors' products. We are really grateful for their support. Sponsoring these podcasts allows us to be able to offer them to you for free. If you guys have a practice, you are going to learn a lot from this one. So over to my interview with myself and Tanya. Welcome, Tanya. Thanks once again for coming on and sharing all your pearls of wisdom. Looking forward to chatting to you about scheduling appointments.
Hi, Megan. Hello, everyone.
So I thought we would just start off just chatting about, basically how you determine how long your appointment should be. I remember when I was practicing, I had a 45-minute initial consultation, and then for follow-ups, I would have half an hour. But then if I had one of my other therapists doing some work, would obviously add time in. And it's always tricky because what you don't want to have is all these little sort of 15-minute blocks of time where you're not actually doing anything. So I'd love to hear how you schedule your appointments. What's your initial consult length of time and what are your follow-ups?
Okay, so they're very valid questions and everything you say is true. It's obviously developed because when I started, I was on my own and I wasn't that busy. And so my clients got a lot more time. And I think you and I have touched on that before. And then as you get busier and you start adding therapists, you have to be a little bit more precise with what you're doing. So my initial consultation is always with myself or Dr. Marisa. So it's always with one of the vets. We schedule an hour, and then the other treatments we work in 30-minute blocks. So if, for example, a dog comes in for an acupuncture and it's going to get another therapy, the acupuncture will be booked for 30 minutes and the other therapy will be booked for 30 minutes.
Okay, so all 30-minute slots. That makes it easier.
Yes, it does. We did used to work on 45, and then we found it's easier to remember 11:30 as opposed to 11:45. So we or 12 o'clock. So we had some, not that people are silly, but it's just if it's an 11:30, it's easier to get there. We found the quarter hours can create a little bit of arrival time problems. People are not that prompt. And then we also ended up with 15 minutes here or there, which obviously is not conducive to good business. So
and you charge, so you have a half an hour consult fee and then an hour consult fee. Is that how it works?
We have a vet consult fee, and then we have a different fee for acupuncture because it's a veterinary procedure, and then we have a half-hour therapy fee. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't charge per individual, whatever equipment that you use, you just, whatever's done in that half an hour, it's a time-based charge.
Yes.
Okay. You were chatting about those people that maybe forget or maybe a little bit late. How do you deal with people that are late? So somebody's booked in, say, for example, at 11 o'clock, they arrive at 10 past 11. Do you usually say that they only get treatment for 20 minutes, or do you then push over and then make the next client late?
No, we treat them the best we can in the remaining time. Because those other people, as you said, Johannesburg is full of traffic, and some people have taken time out of their day. A lot of people, in fact. So if their appointment is at 11 o'clock, why should they be penalized when the person before them was actually running late? So we will explain to the client, look, you've arrived late. We'll do the best we can. We'll give you the best treatment we can in the time that's remaining. What we have found is we do reminders the day before to remind the clients their dog Fifi has an appointment at 10 o'clock. And if they haven't arrived by about 7 or 8 minutes past 10, then we'll actually call them and find out if they're okay, because anything could have happened in the journey. And so that's how we deal with it. But we are quite strict about not going over time. Yeah,
I must say I find it so hard, because especially those patients that really, really need the rehab. And you just think, well, if I can just quickly do this, So it's such a hard thing, but we have to set boundaries with our clients, because as soon as you go over once, then it's okay that they were late, and they're messing obviously up your schedule as well as other people's. So you really have to set those boundaries. You can't let it slip, because then they'll be late every single time. So I think that's important to do. I'm chatting about, obviously there are people that are sometimes late, and then there are also people that just are no-shows. And I recently wrote a blog about this. So guys, if you want to hear some more information about it, you can go onto the Onlinepethealth website. There's a blog about it. How do you handle people that don't come? Do you have a cancellation fee that they have to pay if they don't sort of cancel within a certain time frame?
Yeah, we definitely do. This is also developed, and it was a very difficult thing for us to implement, because it's difficult. It is difficult to implement it with people who don't, there's all sorts of reasons why people don't arrive. But we are very strict. In the last 12 months, we've been very strict about actually making sure that the cancellation policy runs. So if they cancel 24 hours or less before the appointment, then we reserve the right to charge them a cancellation fee. And it is a set fee. It's not a replacement for the treatment. What we are doing is saying we allocated time for you. You didn't utilize that time. Therefore, we're not charging a professional fee. We're charging actually a cancellation fee. And it's been quite a journey for everyone in the practice to implement it. And the get out clause is, look, if you really feel like we're being unfair, if you really feel like yours is an exceptional case, because that's how everyone feels, our lives are busy, please put it in an email to Dr. Tanya, and she will give it her personal attention, and then we'll see what we can do for you. But it also means that they have time to take a step back. And if they really feel strongly about it, they will put it in an email, and they will get heard, and they will be considered. So it just means that my receptionists and my therapists don't have to make the decision. The decision is mine as a business owner. The policy is, here it is, and we are following policy. So it's been quite a journey to get there.
Yeah, I think especially when you have your practice and then you suddenly, usually in the early days when you're not so booked up, it's not that crucial if somebody misses an appointment. You can find a slot to put them in somewhere else, and you're not fully booked. But as you start getting busier, then you suddenly realize this is something that I need to do. And so for all of you guys out there that are starting your practices now, I would recommend that you implement this straight away, because it's really difficult to implement it once you haven't had it, because the initial reaction is irritation from clients. So I remember when I thought, okay, I actually have to do this now because it's starting to get out of control. And I remember them just being really, really irritated. Did you have the same thing, Tanya? I mean, what was their reaction to this?
Well, the reason I became so strict about it is because in 1 month, I lost 9,000 Rand to cancelled appointments. And that's not even counting the double appointments that you spoke about in your blog. That was just simply the appointments that they didn't attend, not the ones that I couldn't fill with other people. And that 9,000 Rand as the business owner is my money. Everyone else is still getting paid. So I had to make a decision. And yes, the clients, they fall into two groups. They either, yes, I'm really sorry, I know things got out of hand, I know about the policy, don't worry, I'll pay you the money. And the other lots are the lot that get really irate and it's so unfair. And we just maintain our professionalism. We don't get involved, and we just say, really, this is how we deal with it. And there is a way for you to air your grievance. But yes, they do get irritated.
For those ones that used to get irritated, the way that I used to explain it to them is that we have all these dogs, obviously, that are in pain. Some of them are paralyzed. And, if you miss an appointment, that is a potential appointment that a paralyzed dog could have got, that could have learned to walk again. And I remember when I explained it to them in that way, then they used to, not that I wanted them to feel bad, but I wanted them to understand the reason that they can't miss appointments. We need to know in order to be able to schedule, because we had a waiting list, like I'm sure you often do, and it's really, really busy. And it's really hard for me to say no to clients, especially those ones that I know that should be having more treatments throughout the week. But when you booked, you booked. Out of interest, what percentage of your consult fee is that cancellation charge?
Okay, so the cancellation fee is about 80% of the therapy fee.
Okay.
Yeah. And for first-time appointments with one of the vets, we charge a non-refundable deposit. So if they have to pay that in order to secure the appointment, and pretty much if they don't arrive at the appointments, then we retain that money. And that's about 55% of the vet fee, of the consultation fee.
Okay, interesting. So when somebody books an initial consultation, they have to do an EFT for a deposit. Is that right?
Yep.
To confirm that appointment?
Yeah.
Because that's our appointment. So if they miss that, that's a big one.
Yeah. And it also shows, once people have invested, it sounds terrible, but once they've invested some money into something, then they're more inclined to arrive. Yeah. And everyone's not like that. I really don't want to sound like I deal with terrible people. I don't. I have wonderful clients.
So Tanya has been in practice for a long time, and she's obviously tried many different things. So the system that she has now is working well for her, and we really want to try and get all this information out of her just so for you guys. And it obviously does depend on how you work, but she's been sharing some great tips about getting a deposit for your first consults. So I must say, it's not something that I ever did, but I remember being very frustrated, especially when a first client didn't come, because it was such a long appointment. So Tanya, one thing I wanted to ask you is, how do you find the time? Do you feel that half an hour appointment is enough time for you to be able to write your notes? I remember for me, one of the biggest things is, you've got the client there, you're treating the patient. Sometimes you're just talking to them, and now, because you've got the little knock on the door from the receptionist that time's up and the client's waiting, and you've got loads of notes now that you need to write down. And then the next client is waiting. And as you take them out, that next client then walks in the door, and then they want to interact with you. So I remember for me, there was always a struggle to try and remember, and especially when you had done measurements, I would usually try and write them down as I did them. So quickly write those. How do you find the time to do your notes? Do you have enough time during the consult or between them, or do you find yourself at the end of the day sitting down and writing down the notes?
Okay, so we schedule every 2 to 2.5 hours, we schedule a 30-minute break, and those, we won't all be on a break at the same time. So that obviously is a physical break. It's an emotional break. It does allow for us to catch up notes that we might not have written up. For me personally, my forms and my notes are all on my computer. So I take my laptop in with me. So the measurements are being put into the notes and the clinical records at the appointment. And then I'll make usually shorthand a few points about what I discussed. And then at the end of the morning or at the end of the afternoon, I will go and just fill in the extra bits that I feel are necessary for there to be a complete picture, because you won't remember everything. You won't remember everything that you discussed. So no, I make sure that I finish all my patient notes for that day by the end of the day.
Yeah. No, you don't want to go over to the next day. It's, we're also seeing such similar patients. They've all got musculoskeletal problems. You might have 3 in a row that are cruciate fractures. So, and maybe they're 3 Labradors, so you're like, which one, so I think that it's important to come up with a system. And, when you're doing your consult, if you've got another handler or somebody there or somebody doing something, then you can quickly write. But if it's just you, it becomes a little bit more tricky. But we've got a few questions. So somebody asked if you take the payment over the phone for that deposit. So is it always an EFT that you just make them do a bank transfer, or are you able to take a credit card and do it on a credit card over the phone?
We've actually never done it on a credit card over the phone. It's always been EFT. So we also have a number of documents that we send to the client. So from the moment we book the appointment, there's one document that gets emailed to them the moment that phone gets put down, just about. Thank you for making the appointment. This is the time. We obviously put the dog's name in. It becomes personal. And then please, this is what we require from you for the appointment. Any blood tests, any radiographs, that whole thing that will help us to form a bigger picture. And then a day later, they will get, or even later in that day, they'll get the second one, which has a pro forma invoice for the deposit. And it pretty much, I can't remember everything that it says. So there's a process that we follow that also keeps them engaged. It also ensures that we have the correct contact details. So we've kind of like got a backup system. So for those that are booked in within the 24-hour period, it can sometimes be a bit tricky. So I'm gonna tell my receptionist that if somebody wants to make a payment over the phone with their credit card, they must please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to put the numbers in, don't you? So
yeah. Sure.
Yeah, we've had quite a few comments now just chatting about writing their notes on your computer, tablets, and written. I must say, for me, I was in practice and, I stopped practicing in 2014. So it's, things have changed quite a lot now with tablets and phones, and they're a lot more updated. But I always used to do written notes, and I'm a sort of written type of person. I'm even, if I get sent an email and there are a number of things that I have to look on there, I'm really bad. I have to print it out and then read it and then cross things off. So on the computer screen, for me, I really struggle. You've obviously done all of those. You've obviously written in the early days, and now you've moved over to the computer. What do you find the difference, and how does it help you now when you write on the computer? Are you writing into a Word document, or do you have a software that you're using actually to capture all your notes?
I'm writing onto a Word document. So I don't use a veterinary software program. We've kind of like developed one that's available online. And then I'm the same as you with regards to writing. It's almost reinforces what I've seen and what I remember. So I do prefer to write, but it just takes up too much time. So once it's in the computer, there it is, and then it's done.
Yeah. One of our Onlinepethealth members actually suggested to me about Trello. So I use Trello. I don't know if you know Trello. It's like an app on your phone and your computer, and you can actually save things on there. And I often use it just for links of things. So, for example, I've got like hip dysplasia. If I read a really good blog, then I'll copy that and put it in, so that next time I'm looking at finding out information about that condition, whatever it may be, then I remember, there was that blog, when you read that again. So she's been using Trello actually to take notes on her tablets.
Okay.
So she goes in and she actually creates obviously a card, which is the client's name, and then she can have each day, because you can actually put one and then the next day and the next day. So those of you that it might work for you guys, have a look. It's Trello.com. Yeah, like that. So maybe that's something that people could use. You can also have that on your phone, which is quite nice. Just going to have a look here and see. So somebody mentioned they really need to get into the habit of getting their notes finished during the day, not 11 p.m. at night. So we've all been through that. Maybe this Trello and maybe typing it on a tablet or computer will help you. What kind of hours are you available for, Tanya? So I think one of the problems is with appointments that I used to find is that they were the popular times, and then we have so many appointments in that time, and then you have other areas where you're not as busy. So how do you structure your appointments?
Okay, so the facilities open from our first consultation 8 a.m. and then we run through. The last consultation is at 6:30 p.m. We definitely always close for an hour of lunch, and then each person will have a 30-minute break in the morning and a 30-minute break in the afternoon. They don't all work all day, every day. So sometimes there's half days. Sometimes I consult, and then on another afternoon, I might do admin. Yeah, we work Monday to Friday. And so most people want from 4 p.m. until 7. And I think the last interview we did for the podcast, I said to you, we found that we were so inundated with dogs from 4 till 7 that I started charging a surcharge.
Great idea.
And that meant that a lot of people actually suddenly could come in the middle of the day.
Yeah, so Tanya, in the popular times, so obviously we have this whole day where we could be consulting, and to try and spread out her consults a little bit more, in those popular times from 4 to 7, she charged her clients more. So there was a 50 Rand surcharge. So for those of you that are, what is that exchange rate? So it's like $5 more, not even $4 more. And amazingly, what happened is, the people that said they definitely can't come, they can only come at that time, when there was the 50 Rand surcharge, they suddenly were available, and she managed to fill up her whole day. So I think that's genius. I think that is such a great idea. And you just do it in the afternoons, right? So from 4 to 7, that's when the surcharge is.
Yeah. And it's worked. We don't have an overflow in the evenings anymore, which also means that we don't end up staying too late either, because there's always the cleanup and the, prepare for the following day and so on. So, yeah, it's worked.
So somebody just said that they use Clinico software, the type of software on their iPad, and it's got predictive text. So if there's common sentences, obviously, that they're using, she just taps on it and it repeats the sentence. So that's Clinico software. I'm not sure if that's just a general consulting software or if that is a specific veterinary software. I know that there are a lot of veterinary softwares that are out there, but often they don't really work for us because of the notes and things that we have to use. And I know in the hydrotherapy, there's that Shark software, they've got specific hydrotherapy. And another thing which is quite nice is this, now you can have online scheduling for your appointments. And there was a post in the group a while ago, somebody was mentioning, how to prevent cancellations and people not showing. And someone mentioned that they've got an online scheduling app that they use, and then people can actually cancel themselves. I don't know whether it restricts you to cancel within a certain time, but it helped also because it would send them an SMS to let them know the day before, or somebody just mentioned now they tell them 4 days before. How you say you send a message? Is that an email message, a phone call, or an SMS, Tanya?
It's an SMS. We found SMSs work the best.
Because I don't think we get a lot of them anymore. Everyone's on WhatsApp. So when I get an SMS, I always read it, always. It's unusual. I only maybe get 2 a day. So I like SMS because I think that they're very effective, especially for reminding clients. Oh, there's another type of software called Cavanti, somebody's just said, just letting us know. All right, somebody says it's used by all healthcare professionals. So that's Clinico. So it's for human physios, animal therapists. You can make your own templates and diagrams. There's a diary. You can have invoicing from there automatically, reports, appointment reminders. Sounds quite nice. Awesome. Tanya, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you think that we haven't covered with regards to appointments? I think we've got through most of it, and you've come up with some really great advice. So I love the surcharge. I think that's a great idea. And then obviously just making sure that you don't have these 15-minute or 45-minute appointments so that people can actually remember, so actually on the half hour.
I think what I really want to close off with, I think we've covered a lot of things, but remember that your practice is unique to you. So you're going to, I've been in business for more than 10 years, and it's been a process. It's been a development of all of the things that we've finally got to right now. And we change all the time. If something doesn't serve us, we say, okay, where's the unhappiness? How do we fix it? So I think you have to be open to that, and you have to try things. And I don't believe there's one size fits all.
No, not at all. And I think it also depends on your clinic and how it's set up and how easy it is to move patients around. There are lots of things that you need to consider. But it's great to get tips and advice, I think, from people that are in the field that have tried a few things. So Tanya, thank you so much once again for your time. We really, really appreciate it.
Super. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. I'm here every week talking to vet rehab therapists from all over the world about all things vet rehab. A big thanks to our sponsor, Wiggleless. Their sponsorship allows us to be able to give this podcast to you for free. So please go and check them out at wiggleless.com. Don't forget to also bookmark the next Vet Rehab Summit. It's on the Saturday, the 12th of November. I invite you to come and be a part of the world's largest online veterinary rehabilitation conference created specifically for you, the vet rehabber community. Onlinepethealth members get VIP complimentary access to the Vet Rehab Summit. For more information about continuing education for vet rehabbers, you can go to onlinepethealth.com.